everyone is safe and well and enjoying the same beautiful blue skies that I can see out my window here. So I'd like to welcome everybody to What's New with Autodesk Collaborate Pro, and Docs. As Jack mentioned, my name is Joseph Freund, and I'm part of the tech team at Microsol Resources as an AEC Application Specialist. All of the different products that Jack mentioned, I can support and provide consulting for, which includes but is not limited to AutoCAD, Revit, Dynamo, BIM 360 ACC, as well as Rhino and Grasshopper and all of the neat Rhino inside Revit components there. So if you have a subscription through Microsol Resources and you need tech support, or if you have a consulting opportunity related to any of those programs, there's a good chance that you'll connect with me. All right, so let's just dive right in here and get started, because there's a lot of new features that have been released in the last year for all of these products, and limited amount of time here. So I first just want to show this slide here showing all of the products within the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Because we have that other webinar scheduled for May 24th, we'll kind of table the takeoff and build products. So those that you see right here are what we'll be covering today. Most of the new features are actually related to Autodesk Docs and how you can manage all of the data that's been uploaded there. And but there will be new features covered for Autodesk BIM Collaborate and Collaborate Pro, because Autodesk Docs is the foundation of everything within the Autodesk Construction Cloud, because you need a place to manage all of your documents. That's where a lot of this functionality and the focus that Autodesk has had in adding these new features to the platform. So that's what we'll be covering today. Before I get into all of the new features, I just want to cover some recent developments with Autodesk. If you're already using some of these products, then you may have noticed that there's a new simplified rebranding to all of the icons and really across the board for Autodesk. So some of the icons that you see here for Collaborate Pro, and Autodesk Docs are brand new there, and they've gone with more of the flatter icon design, similar to many of the other suites of products that you may have, like Microsoft Office or the Adobe Creative Suite. So this will have a familiar presence on your taskbar. And yeah, like I said, it's across the board. So you've got new icons for Revit and AutoCAD here, and for each of the vertical products, or those that are specific to a particular discipline, that'll be noted right underneath the large character in the icon there. So for AutoCAD, you've got A and CAD, and then for some of the verticals like architecture, it would have an ARC down below there, so that you can easily recognize them in your taskbar. In addition to the simplified design, there's been some renaming of these products. If you're already familiar with this, because they have been around for a good year or so, but there was a change from BIM 360 design, which was that initial way that you could collaborate on a cloud work shared Revit model. And so that has been renamed to BIM Collaborate Pro. Also, if you worked on clash detection in the cloud with BIM 360 Coordinate, you'll find all of the features there within model coordination available in either BIM Collaborate or BIM Collaborate Pro. And then finally, we've got BIM 360 Docs. That has been renamed to Autodesk Docs. And you'll see this within the platform in your browser, but also in the desktop connector. If you get that installed, you'll have a dedicated drive in My PC that says Autodesk Docs. So that's a great way that you can have access to all of your project-related files that you've uploaded, but from your file explorer. All right, and I also want to cover a little bit of the differences between the BIM 360 platform and the ACC, because many times these terms or names will be used interchangeably, and I just want to clarify exactly what the differences are. So we've got our three products that we'll be covering today: BIM Collaborate, Collaborate Pro, and Autodesk Docs. Each of those products can be found in each of the, whether it's BIM 360 or the ACC. So first with BIM 360, that was the second generation cloud platform. First generation, of course, being BIM 360 Teams. But you can access BIM 360 at the URL shown there, docs.b360.autodesk.com. And in addition, you've got the Autodesk Construction Cloud, which is that third generation platform. And that has a URL of acc.autodesk.com. So you can see the icons shown right here. And if you have a project that's already started on BIM 360, that project will show in the ACC with this icon here. But if you have a project that is that was started in the ACC, you'll have this this spherical icon shown right here. I might just Alt-Tab over here to the browser just to kind of show what these look like here. So I've got a BIM 360 project here, this awesome project. You've got the ACC logo up top here, but this is the second generation platform. And again, the beginning of that URL is docs.b360.autodesk.com. Alternatively, if you were to go to acc.autodesk.com, this is the initial page that you would see. And so it's a slightly different looking interface, but it kind of keeps in line with how the change from AutoCAD being the darker model space to Revit, the more documentation and white background interface that you see there. So a little bit of an upgrade there. And as I mentioned, you can see all of the projects listed here, and then you can quickly and easily determine which one is a BIM 360 project and which is an ACC project. So just wanted to cover that real quickly. Back to the presentation here. And one final note on the ACC, this is the same common data environment as Autodesk Build and Takeoff. So if you do need access to Build and Takeoff, then the project will need to be hosted on the ACC. So just a good note there. All right, and I just want to cover how you can access each of these products. Autodesk Docs can be acquired in a variety of ways. You can either get it as a standalone product. You can get it included with the AEC collection. So if you've assigned an end user the AEC collection so that they can have access to Revit, AutoCAD, the whole suite of products that any designer should need, it will be included with Autodesk Docs. So they'll be good to go to access those files there. Additionally, if you have if you need to engage in Revit cloud work sharing or collaboration with Civil 3D or Plant 3D, then a license of BIM Collaborate Pro will be necessary there. So when you have either BIM Collaborate or BIM Collaborate Pro, you would automatically get a seat of Docs with that. And finally, it also comes with Autodesk Build. Again, I won't be covering any of the new features in Autodesk Build. That'll be for May 24th. But just wanted to mention that as the variety of ways that you can access Autodesk Docs. Now, to access model coordination and design collaboration, you can get to each of those modules within the cloud platform, either through BIM Collaborate or BIM Collaborate Pro. Really, the only difference between Collaborate and Collaborate Pro is that cloud work sharing aspect. So if you do need to author these Revit cloud models, then that will require the Pro in BIM Collaborate Pro. So I just wanted to make that clear right here. Usually we'll see project managers or anyone that needs to perform clash detection in the cloud and coordinate these models. but they don't need to be actively editing a Revit model, then BIM Collaborate is the best product for them. But anytime that you need to be editing that Revit Cloud model, that's where BIM Collaborate Pro will be necessary. So those are the ways that you can access these products. And let's get right into the new features then. So as I mentioned before, most of the new features that have been added to each of these products has been mainly focused on Autodesk Docs. And I've kind of broken these up into the different areas within Autodesk Docs that you'll see these new features. So in files, so file management and being able to search either by name or ID. So there's a lot of great ways that you can just get where you're going a little bit faster. And a lot of these will be, a lot of those type of features will be found in various places, whether it's just right in files or whether it's in some of these other modules in the reviews, so the approval workflows, markups, transmittals. So you can quickly, once the data becomes quite a bit to manage, it's very helpful to be able to get where you're going through these filters or search functions. And then finally, we've got that new bridge feature that allows for the transfer of files between projects. I'll get into that a little bit later. And then finally, I'll cover the new features within BIM Collaborate Pro, which will apply to model coordination and design collaboration. And all of those new features will apply to both any BIM Collaborate license holders as well as BIM Collaborate Pro license holders. So there are no new features that are only specific to BIM Collaborate Pro. All right. So to start off with Autodesk Docs here, as I mentioned, we've got the files, reviews, markups, and transmittals, where we have a lot of these new features, and then that bridge feature. So building on that, we've got a lot of good search functions within the files in Autodesk Docs. And this allows you to collect and organize files very easily. So if you need to move a bunch of files that are named with a particular keyword, you could run a search for those, collect all of those files, and then you'd be able to move them to or copy them to a specified folder. So being able to wrangle up all that you need and do with it what you need to is a big part of that new feature. You can also search transmittals by name or ID, and then also you can search for issues by ID, because many times you'll get the information, you'll get an email if you're assigned the issue, and being able to then just go right to the search function and find that issue can be very helpful. You can also filter in many different areas here. You can filter markups by creator, date, type, link, or color. So once you have a lot of markups applied to a page or a particular document, you can filter those out to see exactly certain types of markups. You can also filter the files by the last updated, so you can see what the latest updates are within a particular folder or really anywhere within a project. And then you can filter reviews by status, type, who the initiator was, who the next actor is, who's going to be reviewing those set of documents, and then when that review is due by. And finally, you can sort by columns. I think a lot of these features, you've probably seen them already rolled out within the platform over the last year. Most of these have been kind of released in 3-month increments. So there was September, and then November were some big releases. So you may already be aware that you can sort these files by one of the columns in files, but definitely good to be able to do that now. All right, and on to the new features within the custom attributes. You can have character type or limit constraints for these custom attributes, so that when somebody is adding a custom attribute, it needs to conform to those character types or limit constraints. And that's, I think, a lot of these sorts of features where you're allowing this management from an administrative level or kind of a standards level. You can control, how the rest of your users can engage with the platform and ensure that everything is named properly and conforms to the standards that you've set in place, either by the BIM execution plan or any sort of code requirements. All right, and then additionally, you can access these project files from your mobile device. So there's the BIM 360 mobile app that you can get for either Android or iOS, and you can access any of the project files directly from your mobile. So if you have an internet connection and you're out in the field, you'll be able to access those files just as you would from the office. This one I really like. It really helps to kind of bring things under one umbrella here. You can share a public link as a single URL. So previously, when you generated a public link for multiple files, you would have to generate a link for each one of those files. So if you're sharing with trade partners or really anybody that doesn't have access to the platform, but you need to share these documents with, it just makes it much easier to be able to share just a single URL, so that they just have that single place to go to get all those files that'll be downloaded as a zip file. So good feature there. You can also migrate files to and from the For the Field folder. So you've got the project files folder where you have all of the work in progress project related documents, and then For the Field, anything that either the contractor or anyone going into the field would need to see, and the ability to move these files to and from the For the Field folder is now a possibility there. Permissions for everyone. This is definitely a big improvement, I think, without having to specify folder permissions for either an individual or a company or a role. You can just say, hey, everybody should have access to these files. And that just really simplifies the management of access for the administrators to be able to specify this here. So permissions for everyone. Oh, there we go. All right, and then you can also export markups that have been added onto a PDF. And so if you need to share those markups with someone that doesn't have access to Docs, you can export those, and that can include any published markups that you've added, personal markups. So whoever's actually doing the exporting of this file, any of their personal markups that they've included, they can have those as flattened onto the exported PDF. And then you can also include any markup links in there as well. So nice feature. And then there have been some measurement improvements as well within the model or document viewer within Autodesk Docs, and that allows you for better calibration and measurement. So for any of the web and mobile members, they'll be able to rearrange the initial calibration window. They can use commas as a decimal separator, and you can also run that 2-point line calibration on the mobile device. So if you need to get a quick measurement on a 2D plan, and there's no dimension that's laid out there, you can calibrate that with the 2-point calibration. And that always snaps to, because it'll be a vector-based PDF, it'll snap to the endpoints there, so you can be sure that it's more accurate. All right, some more on Autodesk Docs, but in the reviews section, you have a direct hyperlink to the folder that that contains those files. So when you're viewing all of the files that are in a review, you'd be able to see or just navigate directly to that folder to see what other files may be in there that may help illuminate, you know, help the reviewer to understand exactly what may be going on within a drawing there. So those direct links are very nice. I think what a lot of these new features are helping to do is just to navigate and access all of this wealth of information that is stored within a project much with greater ease. So if you have direct access from one location in the platform to another, I think you're going to be saving a lot of time, you know, as the weeks go by, and being able to quickly and easily access that information, whether you're in the browser or directly from Revit in the issues add-in. You can have a lot of these features at your fingertips. There's also the approval status next to an icon, so you've got that that status shown right here. So again, another way that it's just trying to communicate in clearer ways what the content is within a file or within a review, and what the status is, so that you can keep everybody accountable, make sure that any open items or reviews are addressed by the team, and you can keep on schedule. Another item here, which is nice, you can paste a list of emails to assignees. So no more, you know, needing to type out everybody's name and select them individually. You can just paste in a list of emails and be good to go. So I think those sorts of features are have been called out or have been called for a while, and I think it's great that that has been added. I'd love if that was also added for adding users to projects in a batch process sort of way, but hopefully soon, hopefully in the next year. All right, and then we've got the workflow bar and detail page. So you've got, when you're looking at a review, you just have a lot more information at your fingertips. You have you know, the current status of the review up top, and then you've got details of every step that has been that they've undergone within this review process so far. So all of your details off to the right, status up at the top, and then any of the files that are under review listed under general information. All right, and you can also save workflows as drafts. So that's nice. You don't need to have everything completely put together and save it as a full workflow. You can just have it as a draft. So it's not ready for prime time yet, but should be soon. So that should be a helpful feature for a lot of project admins out there. Now for markups, you've got a few different ways that relate back to a lot of the other new features for search and filtering. So you can view, when you're viewing a file within the folder, you'll be able to see whether it has any private markups. So this is the left icon here with the squiggly line is private markups, and then the crown there indicates that it is it contains published markups. So you don't need to open up the file in order to determine that. It's just communicating that to you directly from the folder. In addition, you've got the markups list. So if you are viewing a file, you'd be able to see all of the markups in a flyout off on the left-hand side, and you'd be able to see, you know, who created the markup, when they created it, what type of markup it is, and then whether it is a private or published markup. And that's helpful to know in case you think some other user is able to see the markups that you put out there, but if you don't publish it, they're not going to see it. So it's good to make sure that you've got all of that information ready to go there. And then once you have a lot of different markups put together, you can see that they're organized by page here. So that'll allow you to be able to determine where all of these markups are. And when you click a markup, it'll take you right to the location on that page. And then you can filter these markups by which type and everything like that. Okay, and then we've got the again, that calibration by scale. So you can select that 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch scale if you need, or you can calibrate by selecting 2 points and then giving it a reference distance. All right, on to transmittals. You can search by title and ID, and that should be helpful once you, especially in the later stages of the project, when you've got so many transmittals that have been sent out, to be able to pick one right from the long list of them and be able to confirm that, yes, I did indeed send this to you, and here's the proof. So you can search those out and find them quickly and easily. You can also determine how often you're going to be getting these digest notifications in an email, whether it's daily or weekly. And so the end users can determine when they receive these notifications, and that can be for reviews or transmittals. So you're not receiving a dedicated email with every transmittal. You can just get your digest message at the end of the day. Additionally, you can add a description to the transmittal. So that'll, once you add that in, that'll be its own attribute within the transmittal there. So it's a good way to let the recipients know exactly what they're receiving. All right, now on to the naming standard. So I covered this a little bit earlier, but this is a good way to set up a naming standard, which is very important in any BIM project, so that you have a standardized way that everybody is operating and naming everything. And because of all of these search and filtering features that have been added, having a solid naming standard in place at the beginning of the project is just so important. And so this allows you from the get-go to be able to set up a naming standard. They'll provide a template that has, it's an Excel file that has several sheets included in it, and you would just need to modify that as needed, and you can customize that naming standard to meet your project needs. All right, and then you can import that back into the project. I'll just cover one final item there. Once you import that custom naming standard, you're then able to specify a folder where you want to enforce that naming standard. You don't need to enforce it across every folder within your project. It may slow things down if every time somebody needs to upload a file, they need to rename it, but it definitely can be good if setting it up in the for the field folder, or having specified folders that definitely need to meet that naming standard. All right, and really across the board, there's been improvements in performance. So generally, with the larger models, there's faster model loading, reduced dropout. So if for these large models previously, the platform may have had a little more difficulty in getting that up and running for you, so you could rotate the model or be able to view in section. So they've really improved that there. You've probably noticed over the past few months that there have been these sorts of improvements, but just covering those here today. And you have improved geometry prioritization, so that it'll process all of the most important geometry for you to see in the viewer there. And this will also reduce your RAM usage. So as it is, Chrome is a pretty high RAM user, and you know, if you do have someone that's going back and forth between Revit and Autodesk Docs, it can take up quite a bit of RAM, but they've reduced that footprint there, so it won't be reaching the maximum as easily anymore. And additionally, if you have any aligned drawings, any of those sheets and views are going to populate much faster. So I think just across the board, and this will be pretty much in every release of every product that Autodesk has, they really try and tap into more of the multi-processing and more optimal processing of any action. All right. And there are some new features to the desktop connector as well. You can right-click to rename files. Anyone that's familiar with using the desktop connector recognizes that it does have some limited functionality that as compared to a regular file explorer folder. So you're somewhat limited there, but now you can right-click to rename files. So that's a big help there. So you don't need to go back into the browser to be able to rename something. And additionally here, you can run any of those files through the file validation. So that'll be, if you're uploading through the desktop connector, it's going to flag those non-conforming files and then allow you to revise the naming within the Autodesk Docs environment here. So that's what the image shown here below is doing. It's giving you an opportunity to rename this file so that it conforms with the naming standard. All right. And Bridge is a great new feature that allows you to share files from one project to another. So previously, the workflows involved downloading the source files and then re-uploading to a separate project. But now with this Bridge feature, you can, step one is going to be to send a Bridge invitation to a user from another project. So that's what is shown in this image in the lower right corner here. So what I did is just invite myself to from one project to another. So then the recipient receives an email with a link to it, with a link in it. And then from there, they'd be able to select which project to create the bridge to. And this bridge is initiated from the project that the other individual wants to link to. And yeah, as shown there, the recipient that is receiving the request to bridge projects must accept that invitation and then choose that project to bridge. So definitely good to include a description in the request so that it's just perfectly clear exactly what is being requested in that instance. All right, and this is everything is then tracked between one project and another. So if you are transferring those files, you can keep a record of all that data that is both sent and received. So you've got an incoming and outgoing tab within the bridge module, and then you can check to see which projects have created that bridge too. And that's another item there. You can bridge to as many projects as needed. So if you do need to just have like a master project that you want to kind of back up files from multiple projects into. You can create that, really whatever workflow works best for how you want to manage all of this data that is previously a little more difficult to bring that down and back up. All right, so now into the BIM Collaborate Pro end of the new features here. We've got model coordination, which I'll cover here first. There's more support for different file types, so you can run clashes with IFC files, NWC files, and the VUE files, which is the Intergraph Smart Plant 3D files. So it's always good to be able to clash more file types. You also have display unit persistence. So once you select a certain unit, that is going to persist over multiple sessions for some user. So previously it would wipe out that cached information, but now it should persist. You can also group clashes by properties. Again, some of these features, they may seem like old news, but definitely covering all of the new features that have been released in the past year. And it's kind of what's really nice about these cloud platforms is that once they innovate on the Autodesk end, they're able to push out these updates quickly and easily. So you just need to refresh the browser page or clear out the temp folder, and you don't need to go into the Autodesk desktop app and run any updates. You just need to, yeah, like I said, refresh the browser. So much easier for Autodesk to deploy and for you to get access right away. So we got those group clashes by properties. There have also been updates to the Revit and Navisworks issues add-ins. So you've got dedicated buttons in there where you can go right online. So you've got your flyout here, all from within Revit in the issues add-in. So you've got this button in the upper right so that you can just go directly to Autodesk Docs Online, because although the issues add-in is very helpful in keeping everything within your peripheral cone of vision there, but sometimes you need a little more information. So you got a dedicated button there to go right online. You can have clash grouping within Navisworks. So good feature enhancement there. And then you have an overview panel within the issues add-in, so that you can see all of the issues and all of those that are still open and those that are closed and resolved. Now, additionally here, you've got these tolerance filters so that when you're working with all of the many clashes within or between a couple models, you can add these tolerances so that you can have a better understanding of what or better grouping as to what clashes are indeed an issue and which I can just group together, select, and then mark as not an issue very easily. So being able to control that tolerance is nice. So you can have below a value, above a value, or within a specified range in order to collect those clashes to then, yeah, as I said, mark it as an issue and assign it to someone, or mark it as not an issue. All right, and then finally, you can opt models out of clash detection. So no need to be waiting for all of those clashes to finish. If you don't want the full matrix of clashes available to you within model coordination, or yeah, you don't need those. You can opt those models out, and they won't process in the cloud. All right, and now to the new features in design collaboration. You've got both 2D and 3D design issues. So whether it's in a 2D plan or elevation drawing or your 3D Revit model, you can work with those issues there. You can also add these 2D markups. Again, these might be old news, but definitely all new features in the past year here. And then you can track and manage these changes between non-consecutive models. So here on the right, we've got our watch group set up, but you can show the changes between two different versions of a model. So here on the left-hand side, I'm comparing version 19 with the current and latest version, version 28. Previously, you could only compare two consecutive versions of the model, but now you can say, how does the model compare now to how it was a year ago, something like that. So and once you do that, you can see what changed, how many changes, and all of the disciplines that are affected. So here's just a screenshot of one of those instances where it's showing you everything that was added or modified or deleted, and then what types of elements those were within the Revit model that were that had those changes. So again, great way to just allow that relevant information to surface for the end user. All right. So today we covered quite a bit. It was a lot of information real quickly there, but hopefully that was useful. As I mentioned, most of the new features are covering Autodesk Docs, whether it's in file management or searching and filtering all of the information that you have stored up on a project, but also applying this to reviews, markups, transmittals. And so if you see that little filter icon, you can be sure that you can filter, and the search bar, those will always be available in the upper right corner when you're working with these projects. So always be on the lookout. And like I said, a lot of these new features, they're just they might be rolled out one morning, and it's a gift to the end users out of nowhere. It didn't require a big announcement or anything. You just wake up and it's a little bit better every day. So we covered all of that, and the new bridge feature where you can share between one project and another, very similar to how you would share a link to a file with another project member. Instead, you're sharing with another project. So great way to back up that data and just have your own record of what's going on there. And this can be across different accounts as well. So if another firm is hosting that data and you want it on your site, so that it's backed up within your immutable instance of a project on the ACC, you can get that set up, and also set up automations to automatically bring those files over periodically. And then finally, we covered a few of the features that are new within model coordination and design collaboration in BIM Collaborate Pro. As I mentioned before, that all of these new features will apply to both BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. Most of the functionality that's specific to BIM Collaborate Pro is really has to do with that Revit Cloud work sharing, and I think that was the big development that allowed for this to even be possible, and they got that all squared away at the beginning, and now they're just adding a lot of these features that like I said, allow that data to surface a little more easily for project managers and modelers alike.